Hello friends, welcome back to Dig In with Raven, where we are digging up the past through the consumption of some questionable food. Today's episode is not so questionable, luckily. We are taking a trip back in time to the mountains and beaches of ancient Greece and noshing on a delicious dish called itrion. Itrion, also known as Pasteli, are essentially just honey and sesame bars, and they're super popular even in Greece today. I actually have an example here from when I was digging in Greece last summer. Yes, it's from last summer, but I became obsessed with them in Greece, and they're just so delicious and super cheap. They were like the best little snack to have on site. Like the tiger nut balls from the first episode, these are essentially kind of considered also early ancient energy bars because of the powerhouse ingredients that make it up. We don't have a recipe handed down to us from ancient Greece, but we do have a lot of people writing about this and giving us a few clues here and there as to what itrion actually was and what it was made out of. Athenaeus of Naucratis, who was a Greek rhetorician, wrote about itrion in his work Deipnosophistae, I think I'm saying it right, which was actually a really good source for food in ancient Greece. The work quotes recipes from other authors that we don't have original sources for, so without Athenaeus, a lot of stuff would be lost. In Athenaeus' work, there's a really short passage about itrion, and it says, "Itrion, a delicate cake made of sesame and honey." Anacreon mentions it like this: "And I breakfast on a bit of crisp itrion, breaking it off, and drank a jar of wine." There are also mentions of itrion from other authors like Aristophanes, who said, "Flat cakes, sesame cakes, itria." And Sophoclese makes it sound super tantalizing in his play Eris, "But I, being hungry, gazed towards the itria." These mentions of itrion span quite a few centuries over Greek history, and it just goes to show how staple of a food this was throughout the Greek timeline. Aristophanes and Sophocles were from the 4th century BCE, and then Athenaeus dates from the 3rd century CE, so that's almost 1,000 years there where people were just noshing on some itrion. Itrion was so popular that the people that sold it had their own name called itriopoleis, or itrion-sellers. And that makes me think that people that sold itrion were essentially just the ancient Greek version of the ice cream truck man. And I hope they had their own little musical jingle whenever they would walk by. And of course, people are still eating this 2,400 years later. So it just goes to show, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You can buy itrion pretty much anywhere you go in Greece, and if you're from North America, you will probably have the closest relation to it when you think of those sesame bars that you could buy at the convenience store, you know, or you would get them in your lunchbox and stuff. Now, the writings only mention sesame seeds and honey when they're talking about what it's made out of, and the one here that I have from Greece is only sesame seeds and honey. But that doesn't mean that in ancient times other things wouldn't have been added to it. Sometimes they mention it like a cake, so it might have been maybe a flour, something added to it. They could have added extra nuts, different fruit, but as the ones that you can still buy today are simply just sesame and honey, I think it's pretty safe to say that this was a very simple 2-ingredient recipe. For this recipe, I've kind of just come up with measurements on my own because we don't have any, and judging from this one here, you can see that there's definitely a lot more sesame than there is honey. So I'm gonna try and do like almost a 2-for-1 ratio, so have 2 times the amount of sesame seeds to 1 part of honey. And also I want to make sure it's a little bit workable so I can actually mix it together and turn it into bars. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to boil the honey. I'm going to put the honey on the stove, heat it up, add the sesame, and really stir it around. It's almost like making Rice Krispies. Oh, these are like ancient Greek Rice Krispies. Oh no. Oh, I'm so excited now. So we've got our sesame, we've got our honey. Let's go make some ancient Rice Krispies. I need a pot. Pot. Metric system to the rescue. So we have 160 grams of sesame, which is very convenient. So that means I'm going to use 80 grams of honey. Together, squishing the honey. Oh yeah. So we want 60 grams of honey, which is not a lot. This is concerning. Honey is heavy. It definitely does not look like enough honey for all of these seeds, but oh well, we'll find out. Let's get this honey in the pot. Sticky. All right, let's heat this up. While that is heating up, I'm really quickly going to oil down this pan here because that is where we're gonna make our bars. Don't want it to stick because honey is very sticky. All right, so our honey has liquefied really well. Heats up very good, honey. Let's go ahead and add in our sesame seeds. Sesame has been used for Greek cooking for a very long time. We actually have reference to it in Mycenaean texts like linear B tablets. Oh man, this really feels like making Rice Krispie squares. And our English word for sesame comes from Greek. Okay, oh, that's pretty nice. Look at that. Ah, gooey. Tastes like honey. I know we've been doing honey videos everywhere, but no one had sugar back then, so sorry guys. Sesame is possibly the oldest oilseed crop known and used by humanity and is one of the oldest cultivated crops in the world. All right, let's see how thick I want to make these now. Smooth it out. Ooh hoo hoo. Archaeological evidence first points to sesame being cultivated in India around 5,500 years ago. And we know that these seeds were used in China from about 5,000 years ago. Sesame was also a highly prized oil crop in Assyria and Babylon, and that was around 4,000 years ago. Sesame seeds are also just super good for you. They've got iron, they've got magnesium, zinc, calcium, so much in this tiny little seed. It's amazing. And that's why they were also considered like proto-energy bars, because they just packed so much punch. And then don't even get me started on honey. Honey is really big in ancient Greek mythology. Bees were said to be messengers of the gods, and honey was supposed to give you pretty much like godlike powers. In the Iliad and the Odyssey, Homer mentions that the Greek gods lived off of nectar and ambrosia, and it's believed that nectar is honey and that ambrosia is some sort of honey wine. In Greek, the word nectar means victory and ambrosia means immortality, which makes sense if, you know, immortal gods are chugging and eating all this on a daily basis. Which also makes me wonder if it at all harkens back to the whole like honey not having an expiration date and just never going bad. We've found archaeological evidence of 3,000-year-old honey that was still good. Like, it wasn't bad, it didn't go off. Like, I wouldn't suggest eating it, but it was fine. Zeus himself, king of the gods, was raised on honey when he was hiding from his father Kronos, so he wouldn't get eaten. And you know what Zeus did. He grew up big and strong so he could, well, sleep around, throw lightning bolts, and be king of the gods, all that fun stuff. Torture people that looked at him the wrong way. Man, Zeus was a bad guy. Dionysus was also raised in a cave and lived off of honey, and he's also credited with being the creator of beekeeping. And also guys, Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, used honey and beeswax as part of her beauty regime, so definitely don't skimp out of the honey. Or you know what? Maybe do. Stop conforming to gender and beauty norms. Be your own beautiful. Beekeeping was fully regulated in Greece by around 600 BCE, and honey was used very often medicinally. Hippocrates, the famous father of modern medicine, would actually prescribe honey to treat things like fevers and injuries, to clean out your sores, you name it. We do know that honey has very good health benefits. It's also antibacterial, so Hippocrates was definitely onto something right there. And of course, what video would this be if I didn't talk about the muses in ancient Greece? The muses were connected with bees, and they would send them to, you know, place honey on the lips of people to make them more eloquent and speak more sweetly. Bees were also associated with the underworld and were said to be the souls of people that had not yet been born. Aristotle wrote his first book on beekeeping, and Olympians would drink honeyed water, which is essentially like ancient Gatorade. Regain their strength, get those electrolytes, the sugar back in their bodies. Honestly, I could probably just do a whole episode on ancient Greece and its relationship and love of honey. But that being said, these are now ready. They are gonna set. We have to let it cool for a few hours. So I'm just gonna put them to the side, have a little bit of a wait, and then I'll bring back my taste tester and we can do a comparison of who made it better. All right, guys, so I've let the itrion cool for a little bit and it's still a little gushy, but it is ready to serve. So I, of course, have to bring in my taste tester.
Hi.
And that's the most physical activity you've done in months.
I'm already working off the calories that you prepared for me.
All right, so do you know what this is?
I have no idea.
What do you think it is?
Some sort of bird food. It looks like a sort of sesame snack.
Good one. This is called itrion. It's an ancient Greek, sort of like a power bar almost, you know, energy type deal. So it's literally just sesame seeds and honey.
Oh, nice.
That's it. Remember when I brought these home from Greece and I was super obsessed with them?
Yes.
I don't know why I still have it. But ta-da, I made them myself. But they've been eaten for like 2,500 years. Now you have to do a taste test between homemade and store-bought.
Okay. Oh, will it be a blind taste test?
No, that it doesn't really cut into a bar. I'm not a chef.
It's okay.
Okay.
I've already thought of a joke in advance.
Oh, good.
You ever have like a seed stuck in your tooth?
Yeah. The seed stuck in your mouth?
Every seed, every tooth. If we're a bit stiffer, it would definitely be better. But
Yeah.
it's lovely. We didn't set the scene.
You want to see the scene?
To set me back, where am
Okay. Ancient Greece.
I? Ancient Greece, Athens,
Sure.
on the steps. I hear
The
someone
birthplace
discussing
of democracy.
democracy.
Plato.
Ah,
Sophocles.
ooh. I'm getting a bit peckish.
You always get peckish when you go back in
Back in
time.
time, I'm peckish. Learning about democracy and caves and... please, go on,
Yeah.
Democritus.
Well, because sesame is super like energizing, right?
Is
And
it?
so is honey. All right, so this is the difference between these two. That's what, honey?
I think so.
Maybe. Maybe I'll use too much honey. It's just honey and sesame.
Sesame
in it.
seeds and honey.
Yeah.
60-40.
Same recipe.
Yeah?
This was 60-40?
Yeah.
Oh, I should have looked at that.
What was yours?
50-50.
Right.
Energy boost, like a B12 shot to your butt.
I like it. And now I can run a marathon.
Go for it.
In marathon. I can throw a discus.
In discus?
I don't think there's a place called discus.
I was waiting for you to try that.
I think
I prefer this one.
Yeah, I prefer the
The 60-40.
60-40.
All right.
Is the secret.
Yeah.
Also, perhaps making it thinner.
I think it's also like a different type of honey. I used Dutch honey, which is very, I want to say concentrated and pure and sugary. And this is a little bit lighter because the honey you get differs from the different types of bees that make the honey,
You know
right?
you need? You need BC honey.
Honey.
But then to put our 2.5 millennia of experience on our heads, what would you do to make this a little more exciting?
I saw a recipe that had pistachios in it.
Oh my.
Right?
That does sound
Let's top with
exciting.
some crisp pistachios. I would add like a nut, like a salty bit.
Yeah. Desiccated coconut.
You want to try it with some coconut?
Sure.
I don't think it would work. You need like a salty thing. Like pistachios would totally work for
Grab a
this.
pistachio.
You're lucky we have all the things. Ta-da! All right, go for it.
Oh yes.
Yeah? Pistachios, sweet and salty.
Coconut.
With the coconut too.
Yeah, turn into a little party, man. I like it. Coconut and sesame.
You know what it is? I'm realizing now,
You don't like coconut.
I don't like Dutch honey.
Oh yeah.
I'm living here for 3 years, and every time I have something with honey in it, I'm disappointed. Then I have this kind of honey. Delicious. Definitely worth trying again.
Easy to make.
Easy to make.
Doesn't take long.
Cheaper if you just buy it in Greece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flying to Greece though is a bit challenging these days. So that aside,
If you want to like work out like Achilles,
is that what he would have had?
probably he would have eaten something with these in it.
Do you think he'd be like, "This is my one weakness"?
No.
His Achilles heel.
I get it.
Sesame seeds.
In pistachio ice cream.
Oh yes.
Ooh. Ooh. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the other Dig In Ancient Eats videos that we put out, or just any of the other videos really. And you know, if you want to support the channel and you just like what we do and you want to help contribute to it, go on over to Patreon and become a patron. You get some really cool stuff like early access to all of the videos. You might get some stickers, and you can even get your name on the screen, like these people right here. Here are all of my socials, and as always, stay dirty, my friends.